Hello there, my dear friend. Welcome back to your nighttime journey, a quiet return to yourself. My name is Elias Greywind, and tonight I'll be the voice walking beside you as you gently drift into a deep, restful sleep. Out there, the world is slowly quieting down. The sounds are softening, the lights dimming, and your body begins to relax with each breath. Now, imagine you're stepping into a very special place, a place where time once moved proudly, with the echo of hooves, the promises of new beginnings, and dreams from long ago. Now, only whispers remain, gentle echoes carried by the trees, rustling softly in the night breeze. Let your breath slow down just a little. Gentle, softer now, like a breeze, slipping through leaves that have already fallen asleep. Breathe in deeply and breathe out slowly. There's no need to rush, no need to think, only to be. Right here, right now. You are safe, in a space far from the noise of the world, far from the rush of the day, where it's just you and your breath, and sleep slowly drawing near. Now, let your body melt into the bed beneath you. Melt into the quiet arms of the night. Imagine you're lying beneath a sky full of stars, surrounded by the hush of trees and the silver glow of moonlight peeking through the leaves. And in that place, there is an old story, one that has been sleeping for many, many years. A story that only the stillest hearts and the quietest souls can truly hear. You're about to hear it now, not with your ears, but with your heart, with that gentle knowing that lives deep inside you. Let the thoughts fade away. Let the dim light of this ancient tale guide you, softly, patiently. Now, you are ready. Can you imagine, once upon a time, deep within the old woods of Alabama, where the Cahawba and Alabama rivers gently met like two aged hands reaching for one last warmth? There was a dream of a capital city, not a city of steel and glass, not a place lit by dazzling lights, but a town rising from the wetlands, where morning mist clung to the grass and the call of birds echoed through fog each dawn. A city where every column was hand-carved and every street named after a hero: Washington, Jefferson, Madison. The year was 1819. Alabama had just been born, a newborn state, untamed, undefined, yet bursting with the South's grand ambition. And in the marshes of Dallas County, at the meeting point of two rivers, they found a patch of fertile, promising land. They called it Cahawba. Its name, taken from the Creek language, may have meant water between the banks, or perhaps gathering place of souls. No one truly knows, but the name still echoes like a sad song from the past. Soon the people came, politicians chasing power, merchants seeking wealth, immigrants believing in the promise of a new world, and those who had no choice at all. Hundreds, then thousands of enslaved souls were brought here, They built the homes, the roads, the bricks, the dreams. Their hands laid every foundation, and every doorway, every step, every shutter was born from the calluses of their labor and sweat that fell into the Red River clay. The city began to rise. Brick by brick it took shape. Red walls, black-tiled roofs, white stone streets appearing like magic among the trees and cane. At night, under lantern light, music floated from elegant halls. Violins sang during inaugurations, and crystal glasses clinked like bells of a dream forming. People called Cahawba the city of the future, a place where the South would soar. At its heart stood a building that became its symbol, the Greek Revival Capitol, crowned with proud Corinthian columns, designed by architect William Nichols himself. Inside, the first decisions of Alabama were carved into law. Constitutions, speeches, the pulse of a young state etched in stone. All while the people stood ankle-deep in mud. Cahawba wasn't just a capital. It was a declaration. We can build civilization. They heard the river's call in March, in April. But the lawmakers didn't listen. They trusted maps. They believed in promises. And they thought they could tame nature. Then came the inevitable. Spring 1825. The Cahawba River rose. Slow at first, then surging like an angry hand slapping brick walls, like the voice of the land itself, whispering, "This is not yours." Water swallowed the streets. Vegetable gardens washed away. Bridges collapsed. Columns cracked. The city's foundations trembled, and the dream began to fracture. After the flood came illness. Stagnant water brought swarms of mosquitoes, malaria, yellow fever. Those who once danced beneath candlelight now lay stiff in their beds, eyes wide open, waiting for a day that would never come. People began to leave. The wealthy first, the voiceless left behind. In just a few short years, the once beautiful buildings stood empty. Laughter faded. The sound of carriage wheels vanished from the stone roads. Then came the decree. The capital would be moved to Tuscaloosa. Cahawba, city of the future, was abandoned to the past. Are you still with me? If you're still listening, imagine walking down a moss-covered street. Rain just passed. The earth still smells of river and memory. And the quiet drip of water echoes from a broken rooftop. You move slowly, fingertips brushing against cracked brick walls, soft with moss. Each step a quiet echo in a town that was once everything, and now is only a fading dream. But the story is not over yet. There are chapters still to come of war, of prisons, of hope, and of silence, the kind that speaks last. Are you ready to take another step? With me, are you still there? I'm still here, right beside you, in this quiet hour of the night. If you can, just imagine we're sitting together in a warm wooden room. Outside, rain is falling gently, and a soft amber light is dancing across an old wooden table. Now, just listen to the story. No rush, just listen. Like a night breeze brushing past your ear. We just spoke of Cahawba, a dream among the wilderness. But now, as your breath becomes a little lighter, imagine this. You're standing in the old town square. Grass rises to your ankles. The stone columns lean, tired. Above, gray clouds drift slowly across the sky, and the smell of time clings to every broken stone. Spring, 1825. The Cahawba River, usually calm and still, rises. At first, just long days of rain. But soon, the river overflows. The flood moves like a ghost, creeping through alleyways and doorsteps. Not roaring and wild, but slow, quiet. The way sorrow seeps deep into the soul. Have you ever seen water rise to a front doorstep? In Cahawba, it once reached the windows of the first floor. Brick walls soaked, foundations rotting, and carriages floating gently in muddy waters. And you know what follows water? Always illness. When the earth no longer stays dry, when mosquitoes rise from puddles, sickness begins to knock. Malaria, yellow fever, fevers that linger 3 days, 5 days, then forever. Senators and southern nobles who once danced in candlelit halls now lay motionless, skin gray, eyes distant. Sometimes, in a single week, a family lost 3 members. Cahawba was no longer the capital of hope. It had become a breeding ground for sorrow. By moonlight, wagons rolled out of the city. Those who remained, mostly freed slaves, had nowhere else to go. They stayed. They tried. Planted corn, raised chickens, held on to the last warmth of a city growing cold. Now and then, someone came. A traveler, a merchant, or a soul who'd lost their way. But they never stayed long. They spent one night, then moved on, because this place had something that made it hard to linger. Not the mosquitoes, not the damp air, but the quiet. A strange kind of quiet, as if all sounds were swallowed by the earth, as if this city was guarding a secret. Are you still awake? If your eyes are heavy, go ahead and close them. I'll keep telling the story, like a lullaby for the night. By the late 1830s, Cahawba was just a riverside town. A few shops, one church, a sad little tavern. The city that was once Alabama's heart was now just a shadow on an old map. But strangely, even stripped of all its breath, Cahawba did not fully die. It lingered, like a half-remembered dream in the mind of history. Do you know that feeling? Like a summer rain. Everything was once vivid, then softened, then silence. So silent, you can hear the leaves fall. Cahawba, once filled with fiery speeches, dazzling banquets and dancing light, now offered only insects and wind. And if you truly listen, if you grow still enough, you just might hear it. This city did not die from bombs, nor from famine. Cahawba died from being forgotten. And somehow, that makes it sacred. A place no one speaks of becomes the very place where time stands still. And when time stands still, the old souls begin to whisper again. Are you still awake? If your eyes have already closed, that's okay. This story doesn't need your sight, only your heart, following the rhythm of your breath. And if you're still listening, there's something strange I'd like to tell you. Even though Cahawba was abandoned, even though grass now covers its empty streets, history never truly let it go. In 1861, war drums echoed across the South. The American Civil War had begun. North and South, freedom and slavery, constitution and blood. In the whirlwind of war, something unexpected happened. Cahawba, the forgotten city, was called upon once more. Strange, isn't it? A city long thought asleep, suddenly awakened. Not by love, not by dreams, but by chains, by a prison. A massive prison was built in the middle of the swamp. A place that once held lavish balls was now home to iron bars and silence. They called it Castle Morgan. The name might bring to mind a castle, but it wasn't. It was a prison that held over 3,000 Union soldiers, young men from Ohio, New York, Michigan, captured in battle. They were locked in, surrounded by trees, mosquitoes, and standing water. No escape, no doctors, only wooden fences, guards, and fear. Can you picture it? A 19-year-old boy from Pennsylvania. His parents had hugged him goodbye through tears. Now curled up on the damp dirt floor, his back pressed to the wet bricks, on a cold, rainy night in Cahawba. He looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Where am I?" Castle Morgan wasn't the harshest prison, but it was the loneliest. People died from the cold, from dysentery, from fever, from sorrow. One night, the water rose again, a small flood. The prison floor was ankle-deep in water. The prisoners sat with their legs drawn up all night, because lying down meant drowning. By morning, 17 of them never woke up. Do you remember? Cahawba was once the heart. Now it was the hunger of war, swallowing everything, from ideals to humanity. And yet, even in darkness, there were flickers of strange light. Some escaped. Some helped each other climb the fences. Some wrote diaries with blood and tears. I once read a line. I believe if the soul had wings, it would have left this place long ago. Outside the prison, life continued. The South was dying. Cotton fields, once lifeblood, were nothing but ash. Selma, the nearby city, was burned by General Sherman. And what happened to Selma pulled Cahawba down with it. After the war ended, Castle Morgan was dismantled. Bricks shattered, walls crumbled. No one remembered. But you know what? At night, some say you can still hear footsteps, chains rattling, voices calling in the wind. They say, in the forest by the river, ghosts still pace back and forth. They haven't made it home yet. Do you feel your heart slowing down? This story isn't meant to hurt you, only to remind you. Cahawba is more than bricks and ruins. It is memory. It is a resting place for what was lost. And sometimes the lost things are the most beautiful. Now, let your breath grow softer and imagine you're walking through the ruins of the old prison. Grass rises above your knees. On the crumbling wall, someone once carved, "We were here." You reach out to touch it and feel your skin turn cold as stone. Are you still there? I'm still here with you in the hush of midnight. If you can, let your hands relax a little more. Breathe a little softer and imagine that you've just stepped out of the crumbling walls of Castle Morgan, the prison that once held thousands of souls. Now, it's only damp earth and moss-covered bricks. A place once fierce, now silent, like the breath of the forest after rain. But you know something? When shackles break, freedom doesn't always arrive. In 1865, the American Civil War came to an end. Slavery was officially abolished, and hundreds of thousands of people, those who had lived beneath the whip and chains, suddenly became free. It sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? But in truth, that was just the first page of a book filled with trials. Freedom doesn't come with applause. It comes with silence, with confusion, with a question no one could answer. Now, where do we go? In Cahawba, a town left in ruins after the war, a group of black men and women made a quiet decision. They would not go anywhere. They stayed. Didn't flee to the big cities, didn't wait for rescue. They chose to remain in the very place that once held them captive, a place that took away their names and rights, now became the first land they called home. They called it African Town, a small settlement never officially marked on any map. No flag, no Independence Day, just wooden houses built with bare hands, vegetable gardens, and the sound of children reading their first words inside broken-down tents. Can you picture it? One summer afternoon, in the sticky southern heat, a mother teaching her child to write his own name, something her ancestors were never allowed to do. Here, they built schools, churches, and for the first time in their lives, they voted. The first black sheriff. Northern teachers came to teach. A new generation sprouted like green shoots after the storm. In a teacher's journal, there's a line, "I've been many places, but I've never seen eyes shine brighter than the children here." They don't learn for grades. They learn to live. Freedom finally had a... They used courts to take back the land, used violence to crush hope. Houses were torn down, bricks sold, wood burned for fuel. Everything returned to ashes. A child was born in African Town. Her name was Liberty. By the time she turned 12, her family left Cahawba. The father said through tears, "This place can't hold freedom anymore." Does that break your heart? A place that once began it all became something that had to be left behind. Once again, Cahawba was forgotten, not by flood, not by war, but because no one remembered it existed. By the 1870s, Cahawba was almost completely dismantled. The last resident left. No one returned. Only trees remained, wind, and crumbling stone. And then, something strange happened. When no one paid attention anymore, Cahawba came back to life. Not through people, but through memory. Imagine this. You're walking on a quiet autumn evening, grass up to your ankles, tree roots breaking through the bricks. On the trunk of an old oak tree, someone once carved, "We once dreamed here." Cahawba is no longer a city, no longer a dot on a map. It is a relic, a living memory. And if you stand still long enough among the weeds and broken walls, you might hear something faint, a breath, an echo, a dream that never quite faded. And maybe it's waiting for you, not to be revived, but to be remembered. Because every story needs a listener, and every memory needs someone to keep it alive. No more war, no more prison, no more town. Only Cahawba, the city that fell asleep. By the 1970s, when the trees had nearly swallowed it whole, a quiet group of archaeologists returned. They didn't bring noisy shovels, only old maps, field notebooks, and a deep sense of reverence. They walked through tall grass, lifted moss-covered bricks, and beneath the layers of earth they found the foundations of churches, of schools, of dreams. Cahawba was no longer alive, but it wasn't truly dead either. It had become memory made real. Today, that place is an archaeological park, a destination for listeners. Not noisy, not touristy. Only the sound of footsteps on dry leaves and small signs quietly telling old stories. Locals still call it a ghost town. Some say, at night, you can hear horse hooves on the old brick road. Others whisper, lanterns still glow in the ruins of the prison during full moons, and a few swear they've heard waltz music drifting through the wind as if a grand ball never ended. But you know what? I don't think Cahawba is a ghost town. I think it's a storyteller, a witness of America, of dreams, of mistakes, and of the courage to begin again. A place that once held brilliant light, deep darkness, and now the gentleness of time. If one day you find yourself tired of the world, just imagine you walk into Cahawba. You wander beneath towering old trees, step along roads where no cars pass, listen to the wind thread through broken walls, and place your hand on a cold stone pillar. There won't be anyone answering, but you'll feel history still has a heartbeat. I know, your breath is slower now, and if you're drifting to sleep, that's okay too. Sleep comes gently, like moonlight on the Cahawba River. Cahawba, once Alabama's first capital, is now a wordless melody, not to be forgotten, but to be remembered. A place that reminds us everything passes, but if we choose to listen, it stays with us forever. And if tonight a dream finds you, perhaps you'll be walking through Cahawba again, not to seek, not to change, only to remember. And I, Elias Greywind, will always be there, standing quietly at the gate where dreams begin and waking ends, waiting for you to return anytime you need a story. Whenever your heart longs for stillness, you'll find me in the quietest corner of your soul. And if you ever wish for a place to return to each night, for a voice to gently guide you through long-forgotten memories, come visit Stories for a Restful Soul, where I'll always be waiting for you. Tap subscribe to Elias Greywind, Stories for a Restful Soul, so each night I may tell you another tale of sleeping towns, of those who quietly vanished, and of the most beautiful things time could never erase. Sleep well now, and I'll see you again in the next dream.